We see it, we drink it, we swim in it every single day. But let's be clear, water is anything but ordinary. It is a molecule with a set of truly bizarre and, frankly, extraordinary properties that make it the absolute foundation for all life as we know it. So let's explore this.
Just let that number sink in for a second. Right now, you're about 70% water. Life didn't just crawl out of the water. In a very, very real sense, we are all just walking, talking oceans.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Why water? Out of all the molecules in the universe, what is it about this simple little combo of 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen that makes it the literal matrix of biology itself?
To get to the bottom of this, we first have to appreciate that water is, well, a chemical oddball. Seriously, when you stack it up against similar molecules, its properties are completely off the charts. I mean, think about it. It stays liquid over a massive range of temperatures. It takes a ton of energy to turn it into steam, and it sticks to itself with this incredible force. All of these strange traits, they all point to the same thing. There's some kind of powerful, invisible force holding these water molecules together. So the question is, what is it?
Well, here's the secret. The key to understanding pretty much everything about water's role in life is something called the hydrogen bond. This is the source of all of its superpowers. Let's break down how it actually works.
It all starts with the molecule shape. You see, a water molecule isn't straight, it's bent. This little bend means the electrons tend to hang out more around the big oxygen atom, giving it a slight negative charge. And that leaves the 2 hydrogen atoms slightly positive. This unevenness is what we call polarity.
And you know what they say about opposites? They attract. The slightly positive hydrogen of one water molecule gets drawn to the slightly negative oxygen of a neighbor. That attraction, that little connection right there, that's it. That's the hydrogen bond. You can think of it like a strong but temporary molecular handshake. And here's where it gets really powerful. Each and every water molecule has the potential to shake hands with up to 4 of its neighbors. This simple ability allows them to form this huge, interconnected, 3-dimensional network.
This network structure explains something we've all seen. In liquid water, these hydrogen bonds are constantly breaking and reforming. It's like a fluid, chaotic dance floor. But when you cool it down and water freezes, the music stops, the dance is over, and those hydrogen bonds lock into place, forming a beautiful, highly ordered, and surprisingly spacious crystal lattice. And here's why that's so incredibly important. That open crystalline structure of ice actually pushes the molecules farther apart than they are in the liquid. This makes ice less dense. It's the reason ice floats. And trust me, that's a good thing. If ice sank, lakes and oceans would freeze from the bottom up, and almost all aquatic life would be impossible.
This graph just drives home how strange this behavior really is. See, you're looking at specific volume here, which is just the inverse of density. Notice how it's at its lowest point, meaning the water is at its densest, at 4 degrees Celsius. Not at 0, it's densest above freezing. It's a truly bizarre and life-sustaining quirk of nature. Okay, superpower number 2. Water's ability to dissolve just about anything. This is what creates the watery environment, the soup, where the chemistry of life can actually happen. So how does it pull this off? Well, for charged stuff like salt, its polarity lets it swarm around the individual ions, forming these little hydration shells that pull them apart. For other polar things, like sugar, it just uses its hydrogen bonds to welcome them into the network. And it has this really high dielectric constant, which is just a fancy way of saying it's amazing at shielding charges from each other, which weakens the bonds holding other compounds together. So what about things that don't dissolve, like oil? Well, here's a fun fact. It's not that water hates oil. Not at all. It's that water molecules love bonding with each other so much, they basically shove the nonpolar oil molecules out of the way. They force them to clump together because it's the best way to minimize the disruption to their own precious hydrogen bond party. We call this the hydrophobic interaction.
And that leads us to one of the most important players in all of biology, the amphiphilic molecule. This thing has a total split personality. It's got a polar head that loves water and a nonpolar tail that, you guessed it, hates water. The phospholipids that make up your cell membranes? Yep, perfect example. So what do you think happens when you toss these guys in water? Absolute magic. The water-hating tails all huddle together to escape, leaving the water-loving heads facing out. They automatically build their own little containers, spheres, bubbles, sheets. This isn't just some cool chemistry trick. This is the fundamental process that creates cell membranes. It's the boundary between life and, well, not life. Now, water doesn't just set the stage for life's chemistry, it's an active participant. And nowhere is that more obvious than when we talk about acids and bases. We measure all this on the pH scale. Really, it's just a simple way to keep track of the concentration of hydrogen ions in a solution. But the one thing you have to remember is that it's logarithmic. That means a small jump in number, say from pH 7 to pH 6, is actually a massive 10-fold increase in acidity. Okay, but not all acids are created equal. You've got your strong acids, like hydrochloric acid, which basically just dump all their hydrogen ions into the water at once. But then you have weak acids, which are way more common in biology, and they're a lot more cautious. They only release some of their hydrogen ions, always existing in this delicate state of balance. And this graph, a titration curve, tells the whole story of that balance. As we add a base along the bottom, the pH on the side goes up, just like you'd expect. But look right there, that flat part in the middle. In this zone, even though we keep adding more base, the pH barely budges. That little plateau, that region of stability, is everything.
That flat region on the curve? That's not just a chemical quirk. That is the visual proof of one of life's most essential defense systems, the buffer.
So what is a buffer? Simply put, it's a chemical shock absorber. It's a mix of a weak acid and its partner, the conjugate base. And together, this pair can soak up any extra acid or base that gets introduced, preventing these huge, wild swings in pH that would otherwise be completely lethal to a cell. And your body is absolutely packed with them. Inside your cells, a phosphate buffer system works around the clock. In your blood, there's this amazing bicarbonate buffer system that's directly linked to your lungs. It's connected to the carbon dioxide you breathe out, which lets your body make lightning-fast adjustments to keep your blood pH in an incredibly narrow, life-sustaining zone. It's amazing. So we end up right back where we started. A simple molecule with a slight bend. A bend that leads to hydrogen bonds. Bonds that let ice float, that shape our cell membranes, and that buffer the very chemistry of our existence. Water isn't simple at all. It's the silent and absolutely essential architect of life itself.